What would it take for Georgia to get back to 2022 defensive levels?
You are Locked On Bulldogs, your daily podcast on the Georgia Bulldogs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
This is Locked On Bulldogs, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team each and every day. Love to be here with you guys. Today's episode is brought to you by Mazda. Mazda, move and be moved. Today's episode has three things in mind. I'm going to tell you why this defense has the possibility of getting back to 22 levels because of the running, the passing, and lastly, the personnel. We're going to talk about each one of those in each segment, talk about how in 2026 we can get back to 2022 levels, top 5 defense. And it's going to be for the reasons that I give. We've been talking a lot this offseason. I mean, a lot this offseason about personnel groups, about ranking, about who's our guy, who's not our guy, what we want to see happen in improvement areas where we saw drastic improvement last year, and maybe some holes that need to be filled. We talked about that very, very, very specifically. Today, I want to talk to you about this defense. We've long gone on that Daniel, I think this defense coming back from last year, in which last year, no lie, had a very, very good year. Not elite, not 21 and 22 level, but still elite. This year, we think we can be better defensively than we were last year. And I'm going to talk about how much better. Because you might be saying to yourself, yeah, better than last year. Look, we were 14th nationally, combined defense essentially, and efficiency and that sort of thing. Rush defense was one of the best. Pass defense slipped a little. Explosive rates and touch or interceptions and red zone defense could see improvement on that. So come on. Of course, we're going to be better than last year. We have to be. Well, some people are saying maybe not. We lost just a smidge. Apparently to people a whole lot in the portal. I don't think that much in the portal. I think guys pushed other players out in the portal. And you heard Kirby Smart say it this offseason. We don't lose people to portal. We need people to go to the portal. There's a big difference. I think this year we can get up to 22 levels. 21 is generational, and it's really unfair to say anything comparatively to 21. Truly and honestly, really unfair. 22, different story. I think that's still elite, one of the best defenses that we've seen, but not 21 that went on to have all of those NFL talent. So let's start here. And maybe you're saying to yourself, well, how in the world can we improve on when we did lose some in the portal? We have some young guys back. We were so banged up. Some of our top end guys, Jordan Hall being banged up. We lose CJ Allen, who is, my gosh, one of the better linebackers we've seen coming through here. Let me tell you, I'm going to start with who this defense was in 2022. I think that's important for us to see. Who was the defense that UGA had in 2022? We know all the names 2021. Let's not dive down that road too much. But let's look at 2022. Here's the defensive personnel we had most of the time. Walthor, Jalen Carter, Ingram Dawkins, Warren Brinson, Nazir Stackhouse, Zion Logue in the middle. Okay. Michael Williams was there as well, but Trammell, Ingram Dawkins, Jalen Carter, Warren Brinson, Nazir Stackhouse, a pretty dang stout group up front. Let's go to the outside back of the edge defenders. Nolan Smith, Chaz Chambliss, Marvin Jones Jr. was there, Robert Beal Jr., part of the fold as well. The two most notable names, Nolan Smith, Chaz Chambliss. Okay. Pop was over there. Dumas Johnson, Smile Mondon. Hello. Also at inside backer. At the star, Javon Bullard. Ooh, my goodness. Tyke Smith, Keely Ringo, Lassiter, Chris Smith, and Malachi Starks. Now, Chris Smith and Malachi Starks, I think, makes one of the better safety duos we have had. Just an incredible amount. It was so much fun watching those two get after it. Kamari Lassiter, Everett was on this team as well. Keely Ringo, Bullard. I think Lassiter has proved to himself to be one of the most outstanding defenders that we see in the league currently. But this defense, Jalen Carter, biggest name out of all of them. Ingram Dawkins, way underrated. Warren Brinson as well. Nolan Smith, playing on Sundays, doing an incredible job. Pop did great. Smile Mondin did great. Keely Ringo, Lassiter, Smith, Starks. Some high end, some power names, some guys that are again getting paid millions and millions of dollars. Let's talk about this year's team, personnel wise. So we're going to get to where we can improve offensively. Offense against the offensive run, against the offensive pass. We're going to talk about how we're going to improve that. But let's just talk about personnel. Gabe Harris, Jordan Hall, Elijah Griffin, Quintavious Johnson, Xavier McLeod, Big Joe, Horton, and Amaris Williams. Let's talk about the front five. We're going to include the edge on this. Walthor, Jalen Carter, Stackhouse, Brinson. Let's just start there with kind of the interior of the group. All right. We've already talked a great deal how Elijah Griffin had a better freshman year than Jalen Carter had his freshman year. That's undisputable. Big Joe had an incredible year as well. And Jordan Hall comes back. That's a little bit of a who knows. I'm going to be totally honest with you. That's a we'll see. And we'll hope for the best. The floor on that is sky low. It's just bottom basement, sky high ceiling, but way down low for the basement of that. You take Jalen Carter out because it's not fair to compare anybody to him, but you look at the rest of it. And I would say talent-wise, Elijah Griffin, Gabe Harris, Big Joe, Quintavious Johnson, Stackhouse Carter, Brinson, Ingram Dawkins. We have depth there. And I think Jalen Carter being at the top end of that clearly is one of the most generational talents in the entire world. But if you're telling me that we have the potential, and there's potential there for Elijah Griffin to be something like that, because he showed himself to be that, right? Truly and honestly did. We have comparable defensive line. Now let's go to the outside backers. Look, Nolan's Chaz Chambliss. We talked about Chaz Chambliss being one of the most underrated guys. Quintavious Johnson, Gabe Harris, Amaris Williams. Now, this is where things get interesting. Isaiah Gibson as well can play on that outside. I think Chaz Chambliss, if I had Quintavious Johnson, Chaz Chambliss, and Nolan Smith, Amaris Williams, there's comparableness to there. I'm not saying it's better, but it's certainly on the same playing field, talent-wise and personnel-wise. So the defensive line, Jalen Carter, who he is. Can Elijah Griffin get there in year 2 instead of year 3 for Jalen? I don't know. That's a question mark. It's not outside the realm of possibility. He has 3 years to prove it. Jalen Carter, his second year, took over and was an incredibly disruptive force. So there's possibility of that. Okay. Let's go to linebackers, right? Dumas Johnson and Smile Mondin. Raylan Wilson, Chris Cole, Justin Williams, Aiden Walker. I'm telling you right now, we have better linebackers than that team. Secondary. I'm here to tell you right now, we have better secondary. Robinson, Rydell, Barnes, KJ Bolton, DeMello Jones, Rashawn Dinkins. I love Javon Bird. I love Christopher Smith, and I love Malachi Starks. If Khalil Barnes comes even close to what Bullard was, Christopher Smith and Malachi Starks were incredible. Malachi Starks, remember, that was his freshman year. Christopher Smith, the comp is KJ Bolden. We just need Barnes to be Malachi Starks in his first year. They're different players. But I think we can say a floor of Malachi Starks based on what we've seen Barnes do at Clemson, albeit not last year. Kamar Lassiter, Keely Ringo, I'm telling you right now, Ellis Robinson and DeMello Jones are better than those guys are, hands down. I'm telling you right now, they're better than those guys are, hands down right now. And I love to say that, and I have no problem saying that. Kamar Lassiter went on to be a dang good Texan. It is a dang good football player and will continue to be. But talent-wise, personnel-wise, I just listed groupings. Gap is not that far off. The biggest question mark to me is, who is Elijah Griffin today? Because the linebackers are better. The secondary, if Khalil Barnes floors Malachi Starks freshman year. Interiorly, and Nolan Smith was probably one of the other great guys on that. Chaz Chambliss. I think we have personnel to get up to 22 level. That's where you start. You start with, is it even feasible We knew after 22, 23, 24, 25, we knew we weren't going to get up to that level because we just didn't have the Joes. We didn't have the Jimmy the Joes. We can do X's and O's all day long. We didn't have them. I'm here to tell you, this year, we have the Jimmys and the Joes. We have the guys that can go ahead and make something happen. I promise you, we do. I'm going to talk about where we can improve. What will it take for our secondary to stop the pass? What our defense of front seven need to do it. Go ahead and stop the run. I'm going to talk about all that and more. But first, these. And these are, in fact, Mazda. Mazda moves the game. It is moving and being moved with Mazda. Move the game forward for those who understand that the score doesn't tell the whole story. There's more to the players I just listed to you. Jalen Carter, Quintavious Johnson, Smile Monton. He was not somebody that you look at and say, oh, yeah, there's a CJ Allen, but he played such a significant role that he moved things forward for the defense in 22. And I think other guys I've already mentioned is going to go ahead. They're going to be part of that movement forward now. Early mornings, late night runs, consistent showing off and up for the squad on and off the court. All new Mazda CX-5 moves the same way with more space to connect, the bold new design and more intuitive technology so you can stay connected on the road in every position that you play. The all new Mazda CX-5, more to you and more every side of you. But that's not all. We also have TurboTax. Look, taxes are here. Everybody knows it, right? It's the season. It's time to get done. It's tax time. But for a lot of us, the old way of doing taxes is a lot. Trying to book an appointment that's not the most convenient, sitting in a waiting room with a stack of papers, emailing back and forth and wondering if they really get your situation. But this year, you're getting a major upgrade. Intuit TurboTax now has in-person locations nationwide. You can meet face-to-face with a real tax expert, and your documents get uploaded straight to your TurboTax app on the spot. And just like that, you're done. TurboTax expert gets work to get you every dollar you deserve, where you get real-time notifications as you go about your day. It's the relief of walking in and meeting with a real person and walking out knowing your taxes are being handled right. Head to turbotax.com/local to find a store near you and book your appointment. We're talking about the defense for 2026, how I think it could be on the same level of 22. I went over the personnel, transfers at safety, and Elijah Griffin. Those are the big stories. If I had to break it down and I had to ask you, what would it take for us to be up to 22 level? The two biggest things are, will our safety class incoming, can they go ahead and take the Christopher Smith role, which I think is KJ Bolden, and so Malachi Starks, and then Javon Bullard? If those two questions are answered up there, and then can the Jalen Carter monster takeover dynamic force be Elijah Griffin this year? Even if he doesn't get up to Jalen Carter this year, which, again, he had a better freshman year than Jalen Carter did. So you might be saying to yourself, that's crazy, but so far, trajectory-wise, he's already a leg up on it. Those are the two biggest questions, safety and Jalen Carter 2.0. Let's talk about specifics of stopping the run and stopping the pass, maybe some sprinkling some red zone in there. That's going to let us know, where do we have an improve? How much of a leap do we have to take forward? 2025, here's the simple fact of it. The simple fact of 2025. We had a defense that was 14th in the league, 14th in college football. Running defense, yards allowed per play, 4.93, somewhere around there, 4.78, depending on where else you're getting it from. It was a top 5 in yards game allowed in 2022. Anywhere between 170, 180, depending on what you count as negative yardage and what you don't count in kneeling and those sorts of things. 2025, we had 286 yards per game. Close, again, depending on what you're talking about, efficiency and what part of the game and that sort of thing. 298, under 300 yards, but not the 270 that we reached elsewhere. 14th in the NCAA national rank when we were in 2022, top 5. There was a big, big difference this year compared to last year in stopping the run. There's no other way to do that. In 2025, we had a total of 4,172 yards allowed, 847 plays, 4.9 yards per play. Pretty dang good. 2022 was a different beast. Different beast. It was something that, again, yards per play, total defense, scoring defense, everything that we could list for this last year, it was significantly less than in 2025. Rush defense for last year, we gave up 1,030 rushing yards allowed and 774 total plays, 79.2 rushing yards per game, 3.4 yards per rush. Now, that's dang good. In the SEC only, if we take everything else, 100 yards per game, Oklahoma was the only one better than us. Oklahoma, which had people said the best defense in the nation, was the only defense in the SEC that had better statistics against the run than us. Now, where was 2022 in that? It was better by every single account. Again, top 5. You can't be outside the top 10 in statistical categories and have a top 5 defense. But when you're talking about improvement on the defensive line, we didn't lose anybody defensively. CJ Allen's the biggest tackler and biggest stop to that. And we think that the linebacker group is better this year. Defensive line brings back everybody else, and they were a young group. This is the second best rush defense in the SEC, only behind Oklahoma, with the likes of very young, very fresh, very inexperienced guys. Is it outside the realm of possibility to go ahead and think that we can be 85 if we took 15 yards off a game rushing with a more experienced, healthier, another offseason, another weight room, another film session, all of that going for the 5-star, 4-star riddled defensive interior line. And that's not including all the other freshmen that are already on campus that, just like last year, we had to play a bunch of young bucks. They're going to get their time. Schoen's going to get his time. He's going to play in this defense. It's not crazy to think that we're going to go ahead and cut 10 yards a game off because of the leaps that we're going to take. And because Raylan Wilson, Justin Williams, these are the guys that are back. Don't know what Chris Cole, where he's going to play, or what kind of impact. I think you should limit your expectations on him. Zayden Walker. Linebackers are faster than last year. Are they as stout? We're going to find out. Do they need to be? I don't know, because Amaris Williams, if he gets the coaching that he needs, where he's not just trying to get pass rush so far in the spring, but is able to fight through that, become unblockable, this defense can be easily the first best rush defense in the SEC. And it's not going to take much to do it. We were second last year at 100 rushing yards per game. Overall, 79.2 rushing yards per game all year long. Well within the top 10 of NCAA. It's not outside the bounds that we'll be the best rush defense in all the SEC and top 5 in the nation. And if that's the case, the back end doesn't have to work as hard. I think they're going to be better than last year. We're going to talk about what statistical jumps they need to make and where it needs to come down to. But for us on the defensive line, the front 7, it's replace CJ Allen, Big Joe take a step forward. Talent is there. We're more talented than 22 defensive line. Again, question mark of Jalen Carter. 10, even if it's 5 yards a game less. 40 yards total all season. The SEC 45, depending on how many we play, SEC championship, all that fun stuff. But we're talking about 50 yards roughly taking off and shaving off to be statistically better and at the same point as we were in 2022. Now that's crazy in a good way. And I think we're there. I'm going to come back to this. I'm going to let you know about passing attack. Can we stop it? Can we stop the vaunted passing attack of the likes of Texas, who's going to be better? Alabama, who looks like they're going to have a phenom of a freshman starting for them. Can we stop the passing game? We'll talk about what statistical jumps we need to make to get back up to 22 level. But first, these. And these are indeed, there's chaos in the workplace. Deadlines are there and pressure is on. You need to hire, and that's why you need Indeed sponsor jobs. Indeed sponsor job helps you reach the people who actually fit, not just hoping the right candidate stumbles. Here's a stat that says all. Minute that I've been talking to you, companies like yours have made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. If you're hiring, spend less time and more time interviewing candidates. Actually check all your Indeed sponsored jobs. Get over there right now. You're going to go ahead and you're going to find the qualified candidates that you need. I guarantee it. Less stress, less time, more results. This is a job for Indeed sponsored job. Listener to the show will get $75 sponsored job credit to help you get the posting that your job demands and deserves. Indeed.com/podcast. 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 Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire. This is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. But ladies and gentlemen, that's not all. We also have Robinhood. Robinhood's fantastic. What if sports are traded like markets? Now you could put your sports IQ to work in real time with Robinhood prediction markets. It's not you against the house. It's you participating in a live market. You can buy or sell your positions live all game long. Use your sports knowledge in the moments that matter. Robinhood prediction markets changes the game. It's people moving the action, so when the momentum shifts, you can move with it. I always knew the game, but never had a dynamic way to apply that knowledge. Now I can actually take part live in a market powered by people. No longer just spectator play-by-play. You decide. Trade every play with Robinhood. Now available across the U.S. Download the Robinhood app now to begin. Futures and cleared swaps trading and significant risk and is not appropriate for everyone. Event contracts are offered by Robinhood Derivatives, LLC, a registered futures commission merchant and swap firm. Loyal third segment listeners are here. You will be part of the show. LockedOnBulldogs.supercast.com. Ad-free episodes, contact with Daniel and I, communication from us, newsletter, the whole shebang. It's a great spot over there. Get over there. Check us out. Here's the deal, and here's what I want to get to. This pass defense it's curious to me. I've already talked about the two things, Jalen Carter and then our secondary transfers. Can it be something that we count on them, Khalil Barnes, Rydell, even Gentry? Are these additions? And outside of the depth, can we withstand an injury to the secondary on specifically the corners that doesn't have to rely on the third corner, Gentry being that third corner, but with an injury history himself? Can we maintain health all year long? Now, I want to stop here. And before I get to the exact specifics of the pass defense, I want to talk about red zone rate in 2025. Every single let me start with the big dogs, the Power Five, right? Power Five SBS, 28 trips, 21 scores, a touchdown rate of 57% on those. 57%, 55% all year long, a little uptick from 55% to 57% or 53%, 57% when we played Power Five. That's an improvement. That's good. Dog Stats would say, don't play with your food. That's what he would call this. Don't play with your food. In all games, defensive touchdown rate was about 54%. When we were winning games, in wins, victories last year, the touchdown rate fell to 51%. 54% against all games, 51 in victories, 57 in Power Five. 27 trips, 18 scores in victory, 66% in red zone scoring opportunities. Now, that's really important because what it says is a defense who might not have been statistically, because we're 14th nationally, so outside the top 10, held players in wins when we were going great. When this defense had a chance to look good, we looked good. And we said that all last year. There were moments we played elite. We just couldn't do it over the long haul of an entire season, which is very, very frustrating. Now, pass defense, where I was pleasantly surprised, because again, we had to rely on very young, a true freshman playing star that looked way out of position. DeMello Jones coming in, taking over at corner. Uncertainty for the first month, it seemed like. KJ Bolden being ho-hum boring and just taking care of business as he always does because he is KJ Bolden. 205 passing yards per game. 6.3 yards per attempt. And an SEC play, 133 yards passing. 6.76 yards per pass attempt. Now, that's interesting because efficiency-wise, if you look at the pass yards per play in SEC play, and that correlates with later on in the season when we had more experience and we solidified the rotation, the efficiency-wise of stopping the pass looked dang good. It looked really good. We became, all of a sudden, I don't want to say elite. Again, we showed elite, but we became 22 level. Keely Ringo played very good for us, but there were, if you think back, Keely Ringo is a damn good dog, has one of the most iconic moments in our school's history. I get it. I understand. But there were moments that he was outclassed in that environment. It's why he is a good football player. He is in the NFL. He's making a thing, but it's why he hasn't taken on as quickly as others. Damn good dog. Glad he was here. But there were moments that he got used out there. Again, he's getting better. He's doing his craft. He's honing in on it. Lassiter was a lockdown guy. I think Ellis Robinson is better than Lassiter. And I think DeMello Jones has the potential to be Keely Ringo floor. Okay, so there's the comp there. I think we're better off there. Safety-wise, Khalil Barnes, much talked about. Christopher Smith and Malachi Starks. What we have to be better at is we just have to do exactly what we did last year, late in the season, replicate that over the entirety of a season. That's what I'm trying to tell you. The efficiency of SEC play when we got in there, if that comes to pass, when that happens, if that happens, where we continue on the success that we did there, but to begin the season and all year long, and we escape injury, we know who we are. We know who DeMello Jones, we know who Ellis Robinson, we know KJ Bolden. Those three, along with Dinkins, I think the more that I think about it, the more that I talk about it, the more that I process, the more that I compare it, I think we'll be just fine. Javon Bullard played great for us. Chris Smith was the leader of that secondary. Malachi Starks played very talented in spurts. Very talented in spurts. The more I think about it, what we have to improve upon is not actually improving. It's not getting better, which I think we will. It's playing the guys that we did, that we found the rotation as we were working through it all year long. That's what it is. It is personnel in this case. The improvement of getting down to that 6.3 yards per pass attempt, 6.2, 6.1, efficiency-wise keeps going up based upon the consistency of our players. So will this Georgia team be better and potentially top 5 in the nation last year in defense? I think it's possible. And go execute, go play. But if you're talking about what is stopping us from doing that, 5 to 10 yards per game shaved off of rush defense. And efficiency-wise on the back end, about 0.2, 0.3 yards per pass attempt less in SEC play. Now, SEC play has improved in the past game, I think, this coming year. Quarterback play last year in the SEC was not great, and the whole class was bad. But I think this coming year, if we were to shave down those 2 points, we're now top 5, we're now 22, and we're now championship bound. Because running the ball and playing good defense gets you in a championship. Ask anybody, and ask Kirby, because that's what he's doing. This is Clint for Locked On Bulldogs, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team each and every day. We'll see you guys next time.